Welcome back to World Crisis Radio. Webster Tarpley here in Washington, D.C. So, currency wars and tremendous instability in the international system. The second phase of the world economic depression. It is a disintegration. It is beyond a breakdown crisis. It is a disintegration, and you're seeing the disintegration phase now more evident because this is now a question of destroying the globalized system. Globalization really not much of a system, but the obvious things that are going to come out of this crisis most likely are going to tend to destroy globalization, and I would say good riddance to globalization. Good riddance. It is a failure. 20 years of globalization, more than half the world under $2 a day. That's a failure. Sorry. Back to the drawing board. Dump it. So the big pressure is the Anglo-Americans are attempting to orchestrate the International Monetary Fund World Bank meeting as a big attack on China. Blame China for the depression. Blame the fact that the Chinese keep the renminbi pegged to the dollar at a rate which is below what the Anglo-Americans want. They say that's the market. Well, they control the market. They are the market. It's not a market. It's a cartel. It's an oligopoly. So the Chinese want it at the level that suits them. The Anglo-Americans want it at the level that suits them. There is no market. There's no theoretical neutral ground in this stuff. It's all politics, and it's all cartels, and there's no free market on land or sea, and there hasn't been for thousands of years. So the goal, therefore, is they want the renminbi up. For example, George Soros, the international hedge fund hyena and asset stripper, writes in the Financial Times, China must fix the global economy. China, not the U.S. and the British, not Soros himself with his credit default swaps, collateralized debt obligations, and 1.5 quadrillion of toxic-kited derivatives. No, China. China has to fix the global economy. They have pegged their currency to the dollar. Everywhere else, we have floating rates, right? We've got chaos everywhere else, but between the U.S. and China, there is stability, and that's the problem, he says. China, according to Soros, has a two-tiered system where the sort of the immediate trade expenditure can flow in and out, but the capital account is strictly controlled. Now, what he means by capital account is hot money. It's not really capital. It's speculative flows of hot money in the global casino of globalization that Soros operates in, and he wants to extend it. So the other countries don't distinguish between just cash and capital account. I guess that's why the Chinese are building up capital. The Chinese are accumulating capital, and everybody else is disaccumulating, or most others are disaccumulating. He also is unhappy with China. He says China saved the euro. The euro was collapsing, and once the euro reached $1.20, $1.19, or $1.20, China moved in and began supporting the euro. So essentially, Soros now admits what we've said here for quite a while, that the attack was the attempted destruction of the euro, and that one of the main things that blocked it was Chinese support. That was when the British said, what's wrong with our bloody derivatives today? They're not working against the Chinese, imitating Admiral Beatty at the Battle of Jutland in May of 1916. Soros is afraid of capital controls. That should recommend capital controls to any thinking person. So the idea is gang up on China, and you've got all of them ganging up on China. You've got the European Union has had a mission negotiating with China about the Chinese currency rate. This is led by Jean-Claude Junckers of Luxembourg, and no deal, no agreement. After meeting with the Chinese officials, this Junckers says, we have no agreement on currencies. We say that the renminbi is very seriously undervalued, so we have a divergence on this issue. Geithner again calling on everybody to be flexible and have market-oriented rates. In other words, the rates that the U.S. and the British financiers can impose. That's them because they control the market, of course, the way things are in this current system. So you've got Geithner, Junkers, Strauss-Kahn, Trichet of the European Central Bank, Olli Rehn, the monetary authority of the European Union, all demanding that China radically raise the price of their currency. And the Chinese are saying, boo, sure, no, we're not doing it. Now, the other thing that complicates all this, we've seen that the Japanese are doing their own unilateral intervention to try to protect their currency. They don't want it to go too high. Who else is protecting their currency? Well, Thailand and India are speaking up. They are not happy. They say that there's tremendous amounts of hot money coming into their economies. This is largely from the U.S., where the interest rates are 0%, from the European Union, the EU, where it's also just about 0%, and some of it might come from Japan, although not so much these days, where interest rates are also very, very low. But Thailand and India say, we're sick and tired of this speculative hot money coming in. In India, they say that it's causing inflation. And in Thailand, they are talking about capital controls, exchange controls. You can't just inject any amount of hot money into that economy. Now, they haven't done it yet, but they're getting close. And if this meeting here in Washington, the IMF, doesn't go anywhere, look for Thailand to lead the world into the post-globalization era with capital controls. Remember in the background, in 1998, during the Asian contagion, the country that fared best in that crisis was Malaysia. Why Malaysia? Mahathir Mohamad, the most intelligent leader in the world at that time, came forward and said, we're not just going to sit here and let these hedge funds feast on our flesh. We're going to put up some defensive walls. So Malaysia imposed capital controls, exchange controls, barriers to hot money coming in and out. Soros squealed like a stuck pig. The Anglo-American globalizers yelled bloody murder. Malaysia was able to hang tough. They couldn't be overthrown, although the Al Gore tried to overthrow Mahathir Mohamad. Didn't work. So it meant then that in practice we have a chance to see who did best. Well, the answer is Malaysia fared best, because not only did they fight the crisis, but even the countermeasures, the retaliatory measures, the punishment measures, punitive measures of the Anglo-Americans still left Malaysia in a better situation. So today, Thailand might take the lead. India is concerned about inflation. They might do something. Brazil has done something. Brazil has imposed a tax on foreign purchases of certain kinds of bonds, and that is a deterrent to hot money coming in and buying up, for example, certain kinds of Brazilian junk bonds. We've also got the alarm being sounded by the Brazilian finance minister, Manteiga. Manteiga is the guy who said, we're on the verge of a currency war here. And if we look around the world, the countries that are defending themselves in some way or other, either through central bank interventions to drive down their currencies or attempting to drive them down, or better yet, through taxation and the Brazilian model, and then we got to see who's the first to take the plunge into capital controls. The ones that are trying to defend themselves: Japan, Korea, Brazil, Colombia, Korea, South Korea, Republic of Korea. Switzerland has defended itself to some extent, and there are undoubtedly others. The entire model of globalization is in crisis, and we'll be back in a minute.